All right, welcome back everybody. We have another episode today. And this episode is something I want to go over because it kind of continues to run into what a lot of people I'm coaching struggle with. And it's how to target larger size facilities with cold calling. As always, my name is Peter Boland and I've helped close over $50 million in commercial cleaning contracts, and I'm here to just show you what's working for us. Okay, so let's get into it, mainly why I'm doing this podcast. It's, for my company, we have a lot of like smaller accounts, $200, $500 ones. And I think we have about like 200 or 300 contracts that are below $450. Profit margins on them are very, very great, easy to manage. So we like them. But a lot of people I'm coaching, they don't want to take anything under about $750. They're smaller, so what ends up happening is the amount of work it takes to find a cleaner, get them put in there, get them trained up at the beginning is very equal to what it's like when you have a 3-day, 5-day-a-week account. So they want to stay away from it and they just want to target bigger accounts, which is more than fine. But what they always do is they have an issue with finding ways to target bigger accounts. And yes, you can go on to Google Maps and get a printout of all the businesses in your area, essentially just scrape it. And you'll be able to segment it by industry, which is like you could target restaurants, which obviously they're gonna be bigger. And there's ways of targeting it, but it is not an exact science. And what ends up happening is you end up having a lot of accounts that tend to be smaller, or you don't get all the industries that you want because sometimes the industries are very mixed. If you're trying to find just offices, you might find 1-day-a-week offices or 5-day-a-week offices or 7-day-a-week offices. So you tend to have this scale, and then you have a lot of downtime calling records that you would never take on as clients. So what I have done in order to solve this, because we're going through a transition right now with our business, is we're back to targeting some bigger accounts as we're slowing down on smaller ones. We're setting some new infrastructure up on our service and partner side where we find all of our cleaners. So I need to slow down the number of contracts coming in because you're doing 40 grand a month of new contracts. And if you have a lot of smaller ones, you're taking on like 60, 65 new contracts every single month. And it tends to get very overwhelming. So in this transition time, what we're trying to do is drop down to like 25 grand a month of growth, but we don't want it with a lot of contracts. We want it with fewer contracts that are higher volume. So what I've been able to figure out is the following. If you purchase records, okay, so you have lots of options to purchase records, and purchasing a record is essentially just like purchasing a lead list of businesses that are out there with phone numbers and names assigned to them. If you purchase them and you do it from ZoomInfo, let's say, what happens is ZoomInfo scrapes LinkedIn to get a list of how many employees they have, business name, contacts, all that type of stuff. What I find is a lot of businesses are not on LinkedIn. So you actually end up missing out on a huge chunk of areas or businesses if you use ZoomInfo. And like Apollo and those other ones are very, very similar. Like I mentioned before, Google, what ends up happening is if you go off Google is you scrape everything. It might be a guy working from his house and you're calling him too. So then what ends up happening is you spend like 30% of your time to 40% of your time, depending on what industries you're calling, records that are never going to go anywhere. So you have an appointment setter calling, not getting anywhere, and it results in you not getting a bunch of leads. What I find is the best is if you use a company called Data Axle and you can purchase records and like a list of all of them. But if you only go to 10 or 11 employees or higher, up to like 500. The second you get above 500 employees, what ends up happening is you're in these giant businesses that tend to tender out and they never really go anywhere. But that sweet spot of 10 to 500, your average sale is going to be roughly $1,200 a month. So that's a contract, that's 5 days a week, fairly bigger, maybe industrial, office, maybe dentist offices, medical, and you'll be able to cold call into them. The best way I've seen it work is if you use a company called Data Axle. They have a list of all the records you can imagine in your area, every single one, and they have a way to separate them by business size or employee size. If you go 10 employees up to 500, anything below 10 is you're gonna start getting a lot of like, oh, we do it ourselves, we're a smaller office. Anything above 500, you're getting into procurement areas where they're like, yeah, we tender out once every 3 years, that type of thing. So 1 to 500 is the sweet spot. And if you call these, your average sale is roughly gonna be about $1,200 a month. That's so far what we're finding right now. So we're talking about medical offices, we're calling dental, industrial, just normal offices that need somebody 5 days a week, or maybe even 3 days a week, but they're fairly bigger. So those are where the magic lies in. Those two right there, 10 to 500 employees. And this way, when you're cold calling out or you're having your appointments that are doing it, you're not wasting a lot of time on people that do not have in any way at all. You're not wasting your time on businesses that do not qualify for your services or for the amount that you want to go after. Now, the challenges with this are you need to train your people to get past a gatekeeper very well. And I'm gonna do another video on this a little bit later, but when you're getting past a gatekeeper, you need to be transparent about who you are. You need to be upfront. We say our company name, why we're calling. We are not trying to slime or sneak around them and just be like, oh yeah, pass me through to Jim, please. We've changed our approach somewhat on it. We used to not be really like, I've coached a couple people that are like really trying to just weasel their way to the decision maker, and it always ends terribly. You need to be transparent and upfront with them because they know that you're a telemarketer. They know how you're calling and how you're saying things. So the more upfront you are with them, the more they'll be willing to transfer you through because there's this honesty that you're bringing, and the call will go a lot better and you'll have a lot less resistance at the beginning of it. So I'm gonna do a video just on that about how to get through the gatekeeper next, but do not try to be sleazy and just get to a decision maker and ignore the gatekeeper and not give her any information if she asks or any information up front. It will backfire on you because they'll feel like you're highly unethical and you're trying to like lie to get to something, and it will not work for you whatsoever. But that is the only challenge, is getting past the gatekeeper. We have to phone a few more times in order to get a hold of somebody, where before we were calling 3 times max. Now we're calling 5 times in order to get through to somebody. There are more emails and sequences that we send out to try to get a hold of the right person. But nonetheless, the average sale we're getting is $1,250, and the quality of them is absolutely fantastic. So look for my next video on that specifically if you want to know how to get past the gatekeeper, and if you really want to cold call but just target bigger accounts. I hope this video helped you out. As always, if you want a free 30-minute coaching, please click the link below and I will sit back and help you out. Thank you very much.